Let's see if all of our technology is going to work for us today. All right, we got that working. Let's just double check here. All right. All right, I think we're all working here. I love it. I love it. Okay. Welcome, everyone. I'm Jenny Punzerk. Love the field of school psychology. Been in this field for over 20 years. And I wanted to hang out with all of you today and kind of do a check-in on something that I mentioned that I was doing a couple of weeks ago. So inside one of the communities that I have for school psychologists, we call it the Prepared School Psychologist, we have been doing a book club on the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And not only did we get to, in my mind, reread this book, because this is a book that I actually read, I was trying to calculate 10, 15 years ago, maybe. But I also decided to get off that shelf. You know that shelf that we all have of all the books that we bought that we promised ourselves we were going to read and then we haven't done anything? I also pulled off that shelf the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, and the authors also have the 7 Habits of Happy Kids. And so what I decided to do inside the community, starting off in January, is every week we would kind of look at one of the habits a little bit more in depth and talk about applications to our own life as a school psychologist and just as a human being in this world, applications for those of you who are working directly with students, what's kind of some of the cool things that came out of the teen book. Loved every story I've read in the 7 Habits of Happy Kids. Super cute little stories there. So each week we talk about one of the habits, and I talk about different ways, like I just mentioned, that we can apply it in a lot of different aspects, either in our personal or professional lives. So we've actually done 3 habits. We've done 3 different book club calls. And so I guess I just wanted to share with all of you who aren't yet part of that community, what were some of my big takeaways from those first 3 habits. So let's get going here. All right. In habit number one was talking about being proactive. And a lot of times when we think of the word proactive, we mean like we're being prepared, we're getting stuff done ahead of time. And not only was it talking about that piece of our world, but also talking about really thinking about how we respond to situations, how we respond to really interesting requests that we get from parents, and respond to really interesting things that teachers say to us, and respond to things that happen in our personal life as well. And of course, there was a nice little graphic in that chapter about, things we can control, things we can influence. But one of the things that really struck me in this chapter, that for a really long time, I think I was getting really good at it, I've kind of gotten away from it, was the idea of using the term, I have to do something versus I get to do something. And I have to say that I think I like to correct other people about this, namely the people who live in my house, much more than I think I've been applying it to myself. Everything from I have to go to school, I have to go to work. I'm always like, oh, no, you actually don't have to. You don't have to go to work. I mean, there's consequences for you not going to work, but you don't have to go to work. Like, no one's making you go to work, right? That you get to go to work, right? And really trying to figure out what are some of the benefits that we get when we go to work, right? Things like paychecks, usually right near at the top of the list, right? I know for me, impact on students, impact on other school psychologists, and how I get to help, provide value to the world and things like that. But this was just a nice reminder of how I've been talking to myself about things on my to-do list. I don't know how all of your Januaries are going, but there's a lot. There's a lot. Today, it's 4:00 on a Friday. And yes, I'm doing a Facebook Live, Instagram Live, 4:00 on a Friday. I have to tell you, I just went through my entire to-do list and just reassigned it all to the next couple of weeks. I don't know what I was thinking about how much time I was going to have in front of my computer today, but all those things were not going to get done. So I think I've been really struggling a lot because I feel like so many of those things are I have to. And in actuality, I don't have to do most of those things. I get to do those things. And so really, I have been really thinking about how I've been talking to myself this month, and really thinking about how I want to talk to myself maybe a little bit better next month, and focusing on kind of changing some of the language I'm using for myself, and in ways that are appropriate, in ways that would make sense to my brain, that I really get to do a lot of amazing things in my personal and professional life. So that was kind of my big takeaway from habit number 1 about being proactive, was really thinking about, again, my response to situations. And a lot of that has to do with the language that I'm using. So in the second habit, they were talking, and this is the example I'm sharing right here. This is how they did it for the teen book. And they talked about really thinking about, where you want to go in your life. And I liked this visualization here. And again, this was in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens book. And they said, visualize that you're walking down the street, and about a block away, you can kind of see someone fuzzy. And as you are walking towards this person, you realize this person is you, but it's you a year from now. And I thought it was such a great way, when I think about a lot of the teens that I work with, I just think it's an interesting way to talk about what are our goals, where do we want to be, and that was a really nice way to visualize that. And then, of course, visualizing that for myself and for the adults I work with too, right? Where do I want to be a year from now? So definitely something I've been thinking about since I've been reading this book this month. I'm someone who loves to journal. On good days, I start my morning off journaling something, and not every day. Today was not one of those days. Today was just one of those, I just need as much sleep as possible. It's so weird how much math you can do while you're still half asleep, right? Like, okay, well, this is how much minutes I need to actually get ready and get out the door, so I can probably sleep another 20 minutes. Okay, let's rearrange the alarm. It's amazing how well my brain works that early in the morning. So no, journaling did not happen this morning, but on good days, it does. And that's one of the things that I have been doing for myself when I think about different goals I have for myself. And this is one of the reasons why I chose these books to kind of kick off the new calendar year with, because of course, anytime we have a new calendar year, as all of us who work in education, anytime we have a new school year, we tend to do this as well. But we have, our resolutions or the things we want to work on, and we really start being reflective of that. And so one of the things that's been really helpful for me is not only to think about, well, what do I want to do each day, but really, where do I see myself a year from now? And if I see myself in a different spot, then it helps me think about, well, what might I need to do today to get me one step closer to future Jenny, right? A year from now, who's not procrastinating everything, right? Those who've been following me on social, you guys saw my January post. That's my word of the year in 2023 is anti-procrastination. I don't know if it's a true word, but I'm using it. And that's really like a year from now is not putting off these things to the last minute. And really, whether it's projects at my house, things that I have purchased, books I've purchased that I want to read, reports that maybe I don't want to wait till the last minute. I mean, we can really apply my anti-procrastination to a lot of different things. So really, when I think about myself a year from now, that's something I'm improving upon. So what's one thing I could do today to help me get there? Right? And again, I think that this can be a really useful tool when we're working with our students, right? Where do you want to be a year from now? Who is this person that you're going to meet? And then what can we do today to get you there one step closer, right? So that was like my big takeaway from habit number 2. And then, I went backwards instead of forwards. There we go. This was my favorite question from habit number 3. And this, as you can see, kind of ties in to all the other pieces. So the first 2 habits really talk about, who do you want to be, and how do I want to respond in the world, and what kind of character traits do I want to have, and what kind of principles and values are really important to me. And then this piece really was, how did they talk? It was like the implementation of those first 2. And so the question they asked was, what is one thing you could do? And typically something maybe you're not doing regularly. What is one thing that if you did do it on a regular basis would make a tremendous positive difference in your life? And they actually asked it, in your personal life as well as your professional life. And I'm definitely one of those people that as soon as I start reading these questions, and the way the authors do it, they're like, sit down somewhere quietly, think about these questions, write down your answers. Literally, we'll get a Post-it note out, put it right there in the book so they can write down what are my first thought about some of these things, right? What would be something that you could do on a regular basis that would really make a positive difference in your personal life as well as your professional life, right? So I will tell you what I shared with everyone inside my Prepared School Site community. For my personal life, it would be walking outside. I love being outside. I will tell you that that's really tested me this month. I've not been doing it regularly. It's something I'm working towards. Because, all of you that live in California like I do, what did we get the first couple of weeks? Was massive rain, right? It really tested all of us who were like, I want to be outside more. And then the universe was like, stay inside. It's warmer in there. So that's one thing that might not be something I can work on right this very second, but something obviously that immediately came to my mind that I thought would really help me in my personal life. Really just kind of help me with the stress I feel, the anxiety I feel. Obviously that's really good for my health as well. And then the thing that I said that would make a tremendous positive difference in my professional life was to stop looking at email 300 million times a day. And for a while, I felt like I was getting to a good spot where I was not constantly looking at it. I feel like I've taken a lot of good steps. My phone makes no noises. Unless I know someone's calling me, my phone makes absolutely no noises. I don't like all of those dings and everything like that because literally your brain just goes to that. And then your brain can't continue concentrating because you're like, I wonder what that was. Was that like someone like my Instagram post, or is that like an important email or something like that? And so imagine that. Of course, my computer doesn't make any noises either. But what I've really been finding myself doing a lot lately is I'll work on something. So, for example, like working on this little PowerPoint for today's live. And then once I have finished something, my brain immediately is like, did I get any email? And if I do, I have to respond to it, right? You have to look at it and be like, do I need to respond right now? Or, it's 3:45 on a Friday. Maybe it could wait till Monday. But instead of just going to the next task and maybe accomplishing a couple more things, I'm just constantly going to email. And one of the things that this habit really talked about was what's really important, what's urgent, what's important and urgent for me versus most of the time email is important and urgent to somebody else, right? And so that was one of the things that I really started thinking about. How can I get back in that habit where I'm not constantly looking at email? And so it's something that I'm going to be trying on some different things. I always like to use that term, and really kind of trying on checking email. I'm definitely a zero inbox kind of girl. And so first thing in the morning when I first open up my computer, if there's anything in my inbox, I need to look at it and just deal with it somehow or move it to I have a folder for every day of the week. I have a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday folder. So if it's not something that needs a 2-second response, if I need to think about it or I need to create something, or I will go ahead and put that in the folder of the day that I need to work on it. So I'm still okay with that, but I think then I need to close my email. I think I just need to close it until the time of day where I'm ready to really focus my attention on that. And I'm going to try it on. I know a lot of people who do that maybe around lunchtime and then maybe one last time during the day. I've put on my calendar a huge, an hour of time to deal with email to really be able to respond to that. But it was so interesting. And I think that one of the reasons why it was on the top of my head, I was in a meeting on Monday and I was in a meeting talking about an evaluation for a student with a new team that I'm going to be working with, and the director of special ed, right? Director of special ed, someone super important who gets probably 3 or 4 times the amount of email that most of us get, maybe sometimes even more. And specifically had said, this is how to get a hold of me during the day because I don't check email during the day. And I was like, you're the director of special ed and you don't check email during the day? I was like, I wanted to like stay on Zoom and just be like, talk to me more about how you do this, right? And so all the people who work with her know that about her. So they're not expecting that. And if there's something really, really important, they know there's other avenues to get a hold of her, like talking to her administrative assistant if they can't find her, or, there are some different ways to get a hold of them. But wow, what an amazing way to really free up your day to really focus on kids or reports or getting the actual things done that I need to get done, and not getting sucked into that email abyss that I easily get sucked into. So that's what I'm going to try next week. I'm just going to look at my email and then I have to close it down, because if it's even open, even though I have no dings, even if it's just open, whew, I can see when I get a new one. You have to look at it. That's what your brain likes novelty, right? So it's looking for those things. And then it's like, oh, I wonder what they said, right? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing, right? So that's what I'm going to try next week. We'll see how it works. But it was really interesting that those were the top two things: walking and not looking at my email all day throughout the day. Those were important things that were the first ones that came to my mind that I think could have a tremendous positive difference in my life. So if you haven't thought about that question yet in the month of January, I highly encourage you to do so. And as I mentioned, we've been doing this inside my Prepared School Site community. This is a community that I created, I think we're like in year 3 now. For school psychologists, we've got lots of different things. Obviously, we do book clubs. We're talking about habits right now, but we also have supports and resources for eligibility and report writing and assessment and counseling and behavior, and lots of different resources. And I will just say, I'm just going to try and look at my little thing there. February is coming up. We have some new resources that we're going to provide also on the topic of counseling. And then every month we look at a different area of eligibility and try and give a little bit more support or a document or something like that. And in February, we're looking at traumatic brain injury. So if you've never tried it out, go ahead and go to my website, jennyponzurek.com, and you can check out the information about the Prepared School Site community. If that's not something that you haven't tried yet, you can try it out. You can join it month to month and cancel anytime you need to if it's not meeting your needs. In addition, I'm there almost every week live to answer questions, as well as responding to questions that are posted on our community forum, as well as questions that we get asked through the Remind app we use as well. So, all right, everyone, it is Friday afternoon. I am hoping that everyone here has a wonderful weekend, and I'm hoping some of these things that I brought up give you some pause and maybe some reflection over this weekend. So enjoy, and I will see you all next time. Bye, everyone.